welcome to Cav Country. I'm Army Private Ashleigh Torres. This week, we'll see how some Iraqi and U.S. troops spend some quality time together. We'll also find out how troops get hot chow on and off the streets of Baghdad. But first, you find some pretty interesting stuff when you go out on patrols day after day after day after day. It's just too bad soldiers can't keep the things that they find. Specialist Charlie Mabe takes us out on patrol with some group of soldiers who keep finding some pretty interesting stuff. Take a look.
Locked doors can hide strange things in Baghdad.
Some swords, like scimitars and stuff like that. That's about it. Some muskets. Those are pretty neat.
And these 2nd Infantry Division Stryker Brigade soldiers will open more than 200 doors today as they look for contraband in the Mansour district of western Baghdad.
Weapons, pretty much anything that we always look for to use against us on the street. Walls that shouldn't be there, just stuff like that.
But really, the search isn't limited to just houses.
Tina Turner.
Residents are very accommodating towards the soldiers, welcoming them into their houses and even shaking their hands as they leave. Sometimes they even bring you lunch.
They've been nice to us, give us water and just food to eat. Been nice.
But no matter what the situation, the job goes on.
Just clearing, house by house, block by block. About it so far.
Specialist Charlie Mabe, 1st Cavalry Division, Baghdad, Iraq.
There are lots of differences between the U.S. troops and the Iraqi soldiers. But then again, there's lots of similarities too. Army Sergeant Ray Kokel met up with some coalition forces who found some common ground.
How do two armies get along? By sharing a common interest, of course. And when your interest involves driving loud, heavy machinery, it's not hard to make friends with a tanker. So soldiers from 1st Battalion 82nd Field Artillery Regiment help build rapport with their Iraqi Army counterparts by showing them their tanks.
Well, it felt great to get to know that I get to teach my fellow comrades, my brand of brothers here, show them how to work in our tanks. They were very cooperative, and it was easy for me to teach them because they cooperate really easily, and they have a great time.
The two teams usually work outside the wire together, so it was a relief to meet up under less stressful conditions. Although the purpose of this meeting was to build trust and confidence in each team's abilities, no one said they couldn't have fun. Reported for 1st Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division here in Cav Country Iraq, I'm Army Sergeant Ray Kokel.
Coming up on Cav Country, we'll see who's commander for a day. Some soldiers work toward leadership positions, especially when they're making the Army a lifetime career. Just imagine what you could do as a commander of a unit. Well, the 1st Teens Air Cavalry Brigade is giving one young officer a chance to be commander for a day. Specialist Nathan Hoskins has the story.
The day has already begun, Colonel Dan Shanahan, commander of the 1st Air Cavalry Warrior Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division, and 1st Lieutenant Robert Massey, the brigade commander for a day. On a normal day, Massey wouldn't be doing PT with the brigade commander, but today is different, as Warrior 6 explains.
I think the real reason brigade commander for a day makes sense to me is give people an idea of what decisions are out there that we make fairly routinely every day. You always have those young W-2s or lieutenants that say, man, if I was the brigade commander, I would do this or that. And I think I'm trying to reach out to those guys.
Along with PT, Massey has to endure meeting after meeting after meeting, finding that his idea of what a brigade commander's day is like doesn't quite add up to the real deal.
I knew full well that it wasn't like the day-to-day job that I have. It was very different, and it has to be, obviously. I would say that he has to be a visible guy. He has to, but at the same time, he has to be in a lot of places at once. And I just probably didn't realize at first how many different places those were. There's quite a few.
He did great. In fact, he really role-played it pretty well. Once after the 2nd or 3rd meeting, I'd defer to him for questions, or he would put his 2 cents in, and he asked those battalion commanders some tough questions, so it was good.
But Massey wasn't so sure he had much more than 2 cents to give during his meetings with the battalion commanders.
I think it was inspiring battalion commanders, imparting my vast experience on them. It was a good opportunity just to sit back and see how those guys interact, those battalion commanders and the brigade commander, how they interact.
While rubbing elbows with the bigwigs, Massey found that there's a lot more to the mission in Iraq than meets the eye.
There's a lot more to it than going out and flying your air mission requests and your air assaults. It's just a small piece of the bigger puzzle.
But every piece of that puzzle is instrumental. This was the first, but not last, brigade commander for a day. Shanahan said he'll continue this program for the remainder of the deployment. Specialist Nathan Hoskins, 1st Air Cavalry Brigade, Camp Taji, Iraq.
When soldiers move into combat outposts or joint security stations, they leave behind a valuable commodity, a hot meal. But if there's a will, there's a way. Army Sergeant Randy Randolph takes us to Combat Outpost War Eagle, where soldiers are getting a hot meal right off the grill.
These paratroopers haven't had a home-cooked meal in over 3 months. To eliminate the threat of sparse rations and the doldrums of meals ready to eat, paratroopers from 2nd Battalion 319th Airborne Field Artillery Regiment are conducting Operation T-Bone.
Operation T-Bone, we've got a couple of battalions that are forward in sector. They didn't have hot chow, so we got the idea to put together some grills. Once the steaks started coming in, I thought there'd be no better way to get some hot chow down to the guys than to roll our grill here down to the battalions and then start feeding them.
Operating from Combat Outpost War Eagle in Baghdad's Adamiyah district, the mission often dictates a grab-and-go approach to meals. But today, courtesy of the 407th Brigade Support Battalion, these paratroopers are sparing no expense as they cast their dry box meals aside and enjoy a hot grilled steak, corn on the cob, cold drinks, and fellowship.
I heard a lot of soldiers say, hey, this was the best steak I've had in a long time. You know, they just haven't had a hot meal in a few months, and I think it helps the morale quite a bit.
Having time to relax and actually enjoy what they are eating gives the paratroopers a break from their intense mission cycle.
The atmosphere around here is really positive. We got everybody in the units out here, every officer, every NCO, every lower enlisted. It's good to see that everybody's together, one big happy family.
Come back. Got to give everybody one first.
If the way to every paratrooper's heart is through his stomach, Operation T-Bone is bringing a lot of love to Cop War Eagle. Reporting for the 82nd Airborne Division, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, I'm Army Staff Sergeant Randy Randolph, Baghdad.
We just want to make sure the troops have some good stuff to eat rather than just MRE.
When you patrol the streets of Baghdad, you're always on the go, and you never have time to slow down and eat a really good, hot meal. I went out with the 3rd Stryker Brigade, and they introduced me to something called the gas kebab. It's, I guess, the Iraqis' version of fast food. Check it out.
Can I get 6 kebab? 6?
You build up quite an appetite when you patrol the streets of Baghdad. Nothing seems to smell better than the market.
Find some food from the Iraqi people. It's good. Very good food, better than chow hall. Especially on long days, better than MRE also. $7. Mine?
The Prado got a deal. 6 gas kebab sandwiches for $7.
Come on.
The pita bread was filled with goat's meat, cucumber, and tomatoes. The soldiers enjoyed every last bite.
Good food. Love it.
These are so good.
After filling up, the Prado and his men were back on the street. I guess you could say a fed soldier is a happy soldier.
That's all the Cav Country we have for you this week. If you liked what you saw and you just have to see more, you can always check us out at www.cavcountry.net for the latest on the first team. Read the Daily Charge or listen to the Army's #1 radio newscast, the Cav Roundup. I'm Army Private Ashleigh Torres. See you next time.